juicing is interesting because although people assume juicing to be prohibited, lemons actually are in a special category, uh, right? You're
I was shocked. I mean, I think one would just
lemons and
assume
lime are in a special
juice.
category.
One would assume juicing is just outright prohibited, but the Shulchan Aruch outright permits it. He says, "Oh, lemons, yeah, you can juice them." I was shocked
Yep,
to hear that.
because you don't drink the juice just by itself, so
Right.
it's not a problem to go ahead and juice it. So now, so yes,
which is a
there
great leniency for making cocktails on Shabbat.
cocktails. Correct.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to do that. So the only juices, of course, that you couldn't do that with would be orange juices, right? So if that probably wouldn't fall under, although it depends. Some understand that it's limited to the two cases that the Gemara mentions, which is olives and
Grapes.
grapes.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe oranges might be different. But yes, so according to that, no problem. Easiest way to juice, if you don't have access to a juicer always, you can use a fork, right? Have you ever seen this? Take out the thing, you stab it with a fork, move the fork around, and it juices the whole thing. It's very easy.
Wow.
It doesn't require anything. You sort of cut the citrus in half, so you have half the citrus. Take the fork, and you almost use the fork, like to move it around, and that's you can juice thing to sort of squeeze it.
You're saying for Shabbat even to use the fork?
Yeah. So it depends on how you define forks and knives, whether it's considered
A kli.
all right, and whether or not it's an extension of the hand. A lot of people understand like the utensils not to be a kli as it relates to that. But yes, there are certainly those that would prohibit it. Now, even if lemons, we should point out that there's another workaround. Even if you hold that lemons are the same as everything else, in other words, that they're equally prohibited as oranges or the simple workaround, of course, is that you are allowed to squeeze even those fruits so long as you squeeze them into another food. So if you would, I see no reason that you couldn't necessarily, for example, take a little piece of apple and put it in a bowl, and then you start squeezing the lemon over it. And then, when you're done, you have lemon juice and take the apple out. So that would, I think, technically be fine. Now, I would suggest,
but the best option is to do it by hand rather than using a utensil, correct?
Squeeze it. Utensil, correct. Although I'm not sure. This is what I admittedly couldn't run down beforehand. Could you actually use a squeezer? There is an idea of like go to the hole, but I don't know necessarily that it would apply if you hold that there's no issue with lemons. Anyways, I think that requires further investigation exactly how you would go about doing that.
You said on food. Does that include beverages as well?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So I mean, one thing I did come across, of course, I did mention the Shulchan Aruch. That's for those keeping score at home. It's an Orach Chaim 320, number 6. But Mishnah Berurah specifies in 320:22 that as it just can't be an empty vessel. So I guess that would be an issue if you're measuring or just even guesstimating, right? But that would be a problem to do in an empty vessel. But like you were saying, if it were to go into a liquid or to pre-existing food, that's fine. Yeah.
And the Aruch HaShulchan says explicitly he holds that lemons are totally okay. It's not just the Shulchan Aruch. The Aruch HaShulchan also holds that lemons are fine.
Go Rabbi Epstein.
But I should mention, although it is, I think, imperative that cocktails have fresh ingredients, and certainly anything, you should never, ever, ever use any food that has to be labeled real, like real lemon.
One question, just back to the lemons. Yeah. What was the workaround around that? Just because I didn't fully understand. Are we saying that when is it okay to squeeze lemons? When isn't it okay?
First, you have to decide if lemons are a problem at all. According to many opinions, there's no problem squeezing lemons into anything ever. You can go ahead and squeeze to your heart's content. Knock yourself out. Have a good time squeezing lemons. Then second, even if there is a problem with squeezing lemons, the way to have the workaround would be to squeeze not into an empty vessel, but onto or into something else, into some other food or onto some other food. And that would enable you to squeeze the lemon, right? Even if you held that it was generally prohibited, it's only prohibited into something empty.
Wait, so now I have a question, Dan. So you're saying, according to the regular Shulchan Aruch said it's fine, but does that mean against the Mishnah Berurah you're allowed to squeeze into an empty vessel, or that's
what the Aruch HaShulchan holds like? Yeah.
Okay. I should have checked him out.
He holds that it's okay. So there's no problem at all with squeezing lemons. All bets off. And then to the extent that there would be, if you wanted to conform with the other opinion, so then you could squeeze it into something.